Now our fifth year of having these men's breakfasts, and we have just a wonderful library now on the website of the stories that have been shared with us. And I'm realizing this morning that over the course of these 5 years, some of the men that have shared stories or been with us around these tables that are no longer with us. I say that because this afternoon we're having a service for Art Gundry, and Harry Richard was very good for a couple of years at bringing art. I remember Dave bringing Dinsmore, and I'm just thinking of some of the men that, Wayne Bell, gosh, on we go, that have broken bread with us on these mornings that are not with us. So please hold Art Gundry's extended family, Carolyn Richard, his daughter, and Harry, son-in-law, and the entire family this afternoon, 3:30 in our sanctuary. Gratitude to Dr. Don Gash for shopping for us again. Thank you, Don. Clay Haney, who's accepted the responsibility of videotaping these, which, as we know, is much appreciated and very important. Hank, I thought you made an exceptional batch of gravy today. Oh, come on now. Look what gets the applause. Look what gets the applause. Yeah. Dave Nisbet, come on up here and remind us about our opportunity to greet people.
I really don't need this mic, but we're back to outside greeters. Okay, I'm gonna pass this around. I've got the main parking lot, which is the back door. It's kind of nice sometimes to have two, because we do have a lot of people we help out of the cars with walkers, wheelchairs, things like that, and the other guy can still be working the door. One can make it work, but we get so many good compliments about greeting people outside. And we also have the front door, and that's what I want to talk about real quick. We now have, I've been pushing front door for a couple of years, and I haven't really been able to say this because we didn't have it fixed. I served on a security team here at the church. 2 years ago, I went to an active shooter training class at Crestwood that was sponsored just for the Disciples of Christ. That place was packed. Churches from all over Kentucky were there to hear about what's going on in that realm. And the security team figured out our weakest point was the front doors. All right? Because they're open. If you've ever been out there greeting on a Sunday morning, there's nobody on Short Street. Somebody could pull right up on Short Street, come right in, and be in our sanctuary in like 6 or 7 seconds. All right? That was our weak point. So what we now have, we got some, and the lock on those old doors used to have a hex key. You'd have to go find Kelly. Kelly, come here and unlock the door. Somebody's coming up with a gun. And you couldn't do it. But now we have a new locking system. Molly said she found basically a Cracker Barrel of all places.
Yeah, it's right.
And
it's that side of the map we started looking for them. Yeah.
All right, and they work great. When they are down, they're in the open position. I mean, the doors are open. But if you're out there, and you can watch people drive, if somebody were to drive up and get out of that car in camouflage or in a mask and carrying a gun, you can step into the church now, hit those buttons. One button locks the door. All right, that quick. We can lock down. If everybody remembers the synagogue in Germany just this past week, that shooter was wanted to get into the synagogue. What did they do? They heard the shooting outside. They locked it. They barricaded the door. They have these big, beautiful doors. So do we. And so that's why we need somebody on the outside. It's more, you're protecting. Look at it, you're going to greet 10 to 12 to 15 people, but you're protecting 300, 400. That's what we're doing out there. Is we're the eyes of that door of our weakest spot. So please consider going for the front door as well as the back door. I'm going to pass this around. I know everybody's going to be spellbound with Tim, but if you just keep passing this around, don't let it get stuck at a table, we'll get this thing going, and thank you very much for your help.
Dave? Josh Santana has a word for us about an upcoming opportunity to support a wonderful cause. Josh?
The Central Music Academy, which is in its 15th year this year, is having its Central Music Academy Rocks the House fundraiser coming up November 1st at the downtown Hilton. This year we are honoring Stu Silverman, who is, I guess, the fourth in a line of some really important people that we've honored, including George Zach and Dr. McCovey and our own maestro Michael Rintema. And so Tickets are $50. It's a great evening. It's a great evening. And we have heavy hors d'oeuvres, beverages. There's a silent auction. There's opportunities for giving. So if you have an opportunity, please, I'm going to be selling tickets tomorrow. I can't do it this morning. But if you're interested, see me after the breakfast, and I'll get you some more information. Thank you.
Okay, so we got the welcoming thing going around there. Tim Harkless, born in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, up in Northeast Ohio. Tom Isherwood, put your hand up there, Northeast Ohio folks. Yeah, Northeast Ohio folks, absolutely. And Tim graduated from Cuyahoga Falls High School. He went on to the University of Akron. That's the Zips. The Zips from the University of Akron. Came down here and attended Lexington Theological Seminary for a year, but most importantly, met and fell in love with Sherry. Joined Central in 1979 and married Sherry here in 1981. Tim is a lifelong disciple. His parents were charter members of the Bailey Road Christian Church in Cuyahoga Falls, and as a new church pastor, I just admire people that are willing to jump on board for a brand new church start and all that that means. Tim has 3 children and 2 grandchildren. He had a career in industrial purchasing and retired from Lexair back in 2017. I think Tim has done everything that can be done to serve the church, including being an elder and a deacon and serving on various ministry areas, singing in our choir. He's currently a youth sponsor, a bus driver. And Tim's just one of these guys that, whatever's needed, you can turn to Tim and he'll quietly do it with a smile and with a sincerity that we've all come to really know and respect and love. It looks like he's got an orange tie on this morning. Is that orange for the Browns? Sorry, not right now. Not right now. Brothers, please welcome Tim Harkless.
Yeah, we Browns fans are keeping a low profile this week. I apologize for my late arrival. I was thinking it was 8:30. I was sitting right in the house just puttering around. I had plenty of time. Then I got a text from David. I said, I better hightail it. When David asked me to speak to you this morning, my initial response was, given all the saints who have gone before me, I hardly feel worthy. I'm just an average schlep. But it's not about that, is it? A few weeks ago, Paul Prather had a column in which he urges us to embrace our mediocrity. He said, if you possibly can, find work you enjoy among people you like, even if it pays less. Make sure your schedule allows you time to haul your kids to school and attend their dance recitals and cheer like an idiot at their little league games. Marry someone who is kind and predictable and who gets your stupid jokes. Embrace a God and a church who love you despite your mediocrity. So here I stand, embracing my mediocrity. In 1777, 17-year-old Carl Friedrich Harkless, a Hessian mercenary fighting for the British in Philadelphia against the rebel Continental Army of George Washington, got the notion that he was fighting for the wrong side. He and some others, speaking no English, approached the Continentals, laid down their weapons in surrender, took off their mitered helmets and stomped on them, and indicated the best they could that they wanted to join their side. Carl was accepted. He anglicized his name to Charles Frederick Harkless and served the remainder of the war with the Pennsylvania regulars. He married a girl from New Jersey and settled in western Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh, likely on land granted by the government to veterans of the Revolution. He is buried in the cemetery of Poke Run Presbyterian Church, which I visited last year. Presbyterian. It might be a stretch, but given the time frame and the locale, I like to consider the possibility that he crossed paths with Thomas and Alexander Campbell, co-founders of the Christian Church as Disciples of Christ. Worth pondering. My own father, Donald, grew up in central Pennsylvania in the borough of South Phillipsburg, affectionately known as Southie. He was the middle child of 7 who lost their mother when Dad was 11. Fortunately, their father had worked throughout the Depression, but the children were left to be cared for by each other, family, Southie, and the little Christian and Missionary Alliance Church down the street. It took a village. One thing that suffered was Dad's education, however. He only made it to 8th grade. At 14, his first job was as a manual pin setter at a bowling alley. Imagine that. At 17, he was the first of his siblings to migrate to Akron, Ohio, seeking work in the rubber tire industry. Dad ended up at B.F. Goodrich Company. He turned 18 on April 24th, 1945, and immediately enlisted in the Army. 2 weeks later, the Germans surrendered. Then, when it looked like he was headed to the South Pacific, that war ended. He ended up as part of the occupying forces in Germany through the rest of his enlistment. When his tour was over, he returned to Akron and married the girl across the street. Now, Mother was raised Catholic, but Dad wouldn't convert, so although they were married by a priest, it was a small ceremony in the rectory of the St. Martha's Catholic Church in Akron. Early in their marriage, they really didn't participate in church, probably to avoid conflict. Then, a friend and co-worker of Dad's invited them to a new church that was being started. That invitation resulted in them being charter members of Bailey Road Christian Church in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And upon their deaths 2 years ago, they were the last remaining charter members of that church. The church I was raised in sustained us through layoffs, strikes, my mother succumbing to severe bouts with postpartum depression. I can remember sitting with Reverend Hartley after Mom had been hospitalized and then praying at home. I'm the oldest of 5 children. We didn't see a whole lot of Dad growing up because he usually had 1 or 2 part-time jobs in addition to his job at Goodrich. And that would help us through the frequent strikes and layoffs they had at Goodrich. But the times we had with Dad were quality. Much time was spent picnicking and hiking in the Akron Metro parks, several of which are now incorporated in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park now. He was also an adult leader of our Boy Scout troop, number 186, which met at the church. Now, I went to one of the largest high schools in Ohio. And shy, awkward me got kind of lost in the crowd there. But at church, I thrived. I was a leader in the Christian Youth Fellowship, CYF, and a deacon. And then while I was in college at the University of Akron, I also served as a Cairo youth sponsor at church and a summer camp counselor at Camp Christian in Ohio. I was also honored to be an elder at Bailey Road at the age of 19. I was determined to be the first Harkless to attend and graduate college, which I did from the University of Akron. Beyond that, however, I had given little thought. So I was getting a lot of encouragement to go to theological seminary, to be a minister. Times being what they were, I accepted the challenge. I chose Lexington Theological Seminary because my current and previous pastors, Tom Madden and Don Adcock, some of you may have known them, were alums of LTS. Also, my best friend Mark Anderson was already attending there. I had visited there on spring break of my senior year in high school with CYF on a spring break trip. We also visited Trancey and Cane Ridge at that time. My first introduction to all those institutions. So I'm going off to seminary. The folks at the home church gave me this big send-off, showered me all kinds of love and gifts. But the most loving thing they did was when Reverend Madden and an elder took me aside and told me that if things didn't work out at seminary, I would always be welcome back there. That proved prophetic, for I am a seminary dropout. Now, it was overall a positive experience, a growth experience for me. And I discovered that while there are some aspects of ministry I would thrive in, there would be others that I would hate, like always being on call. You know, I'm a 40-hour-a-week schlep. So that was one of the main things. And I wasn't mature enough. And for the first time in my life, like most people that age do, I began to question my faith. So I left the seminary, but stayed in Lexington because I had fallen in love with the area and a girl. I also dropped out of the church. Now, this particular girl was with a UK sorority that had solicited the seminary for some fine, upstanding young men to set tables, serve food, and wash dishes for the evening meal at the sorority house in exchange for a free meal. Times being what they were, I accepted the job. We accepted the job, a bunch of us. Being a houseboy at a sorority house was a great gig. Picture this, if you will. We're back in the kitchen washing dishes, and the girls are holding their chapter meeting out in the living room of the sorority house, singing songs like, "I want to make violent love to you." We maintained our integrity. Two of us seminary students ended up engaged to do the girls, me included. My friend Mark Anderson, Reverend Mark Anderson, who a couple of you know, married her. He and Chris are now celebrating over 42 years, I think. And I was engaged to this particular girl for a year and a half. She became my whole life. We'd spend every possible waking moment together for a year and a half. And then one summer, she went to spend the summer in Germany, where her sister lived with her husband, who was in the army, stationed there. And while she was gone, I was pretty lonely. Couldn't wait for her to get back. Then when she got back, something had changed. She didn't want to spend much time with me anymore. She kept doing things to make me mad. As it turned out, she was trying to get me to break up with her. But I was so clueless and in denial that she ended up having to play the heavy herself. So that relationship was done. And it was then I entered the loneliest part of my life. No girlfriend, no friends that I could spend any time with, no family around here. And that's when I decided to give God and the church another try, remembering my home church experience. I visited several churches in town with mixed results, some disciples, some not. And then I visited Central here. The very first afternoon after I attended services, I was called on in my apartment by Jack Russell, who was on the staff at the time. Jack was the father of Jackie Fiscus, who is along many of you. Late, I think the next Sunday, I was paid a visit by Dick and Judy Rhodes, who were on the evangelism committee. And they plugged me into a single adult fellowship where a girl I was interested invited me to join choir. Now, in spite of the ulterior motive, choir, under the leadership of Bob Kintner, proved to be a real religious experience for me. So I joined Central in 1979. That's the same year, 79, I met Sherry at the YWCA. You want to meet women, you join the YW, right? Well, actually, I lived half a block away from it and joined for swimming and exercise, and she was the pool manager. We married here at Central in 1981. And I believe it's noteworthy that she chose for us to get married here at Central, my church. And I think it was because the church so readily embraced her when I brought her on board. And Central has sustained us through the ups and downs of life. She had 2 miscarriages. We had 3 children. Shelley, twins Sean and Stephen. It sustains us through the sudden death of my brother in 1983 at the age of 23. Sustained me through a job loss back in 93. And it sustained the whole family through Sherry's bout with breast cancer and her eventual death 3.5 years ago. And I will always cherish the vigil that members kept with her as she lay in hospice care. A few years ago, my son Sean shared with me one of those chance encounters that brings joy to one's life. He, his girlfriend, and other friends were attending an Avett Brothers concert in Columbus, Ohio, when he ran into, of all people, Phil Griffin. Stand up, Phil.
At an Avett Brothers concert.
This guy. He was there with his daughter Olivia.
Yeah.
Sean then unabashedly and unashamedly declared, "This is my Sunday school teacher." Think about what that says. That says that Phil Griffin mattered.
Yeah.
Sunday school mattered. Central Christian Church matters. Their faith matters. Now, as a young adults, my kids, like many young adults, haven't practiced with the church much lately. But all three have told me at one time or another that they're glad that we raised them at Central Christian Church. It matters. And so I embrace my mediocrity. I encourage you average slips out there, to do this too. I want to hear your stories. We want to hear your stories. And as Antonio Salieri says from the insane asylum at the end of Amadeus, I speak for all the mediocrities of the world. I am your champion, your patron saint. Well, I won't say that. I'm not insane. Let all God's people say.
Amen.
Since it started earlier than I expected, I won't be late for work at Keeneland now.
That's where you're going, yeah, gotcha.
A couple years ago, during Lent, we had the opportunity to have what we call prayer partners. If you didn't have one, you got paired up with somebody, and you could spend the 40 days of Lent with that individual. And Tim and I were prayer partners that year. And that meant every week we had lunch together. He chose one, I chose the next, back and forth, and got to spend time just really sharing at a wonderful level. So let me say something about mediocrity. You're an exceptional man, Tim Harkless. Exceptional man. And I want you to know, I can bear witness to the fact that just because a man or a woman has the letters MDiv or MTS or D-Min after their name is not necessarily an assurance that it's a man or woman of deep and profound faith. And so cut the seminary dropout stuff out now, because you're the real thing. You're the real thing. And whatever it was that Bailey Road Church did to produce a Tim Harkless, I hope and trust that Central Christian's doing that for our children and our youth. And that's why Tim, as a youth sponsor, is just paying back what he received to make him the man that he is today. So, exceptional. Next month, Dr. Scott Pierce is going to be bringing his story to us, all right? I think it's November the 9th. It'll be at 8:30 a.m., Scott, okay? 8:30 a.m. Brothers, is there anything else for the good of the cause? Anything else? Wonderful. Again, if you can help us bus everything back to the kitchen, thank you in advance to the cleanup crew. Clay, thanks again for videotaping for us, and hope to see you tomorrow. Kids Sing is going to be offering us 3 pieces of music during worship, so it'll be a beautiful day. Blessings, guys. Amen.
Great job, Tim.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. You had me worried there for a second. I need to go get my phone. Yeah, service. I go, okay. No, that's fine. He goes, I've just got off a flight from England yesterday. I said, I kind of took some notes down, so if you absolutely have to